Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Taking Up Space, a Michelle A. Mayer podcast. Always excited about coming forward, you guys. Today is absolutely no different. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope I have met you all in the highest and most optimal health and spirits. I'm having a wonderful Friday. I hope you all are as well. I want to come on and have a lackadaisical conversation with y'all today about isn't it funny how there will be people that cross paths with you or that view you either on social media or in life in general that find you fond. They're fond of you for whatever reason. They see something that they like within you. Yet instead of partnering with you or openly conveying the fact that they appreciate your offering or that they find something of interest in what you convey or the way that you convey it or all the above, they are enthralled with your offering. They find your offering magnetic. They appreciate your offering. And instead of them looking to partner with you or even just to come out and say, you know what, I think you're great, or I think highly of you in this regard, they will look to sabotage you. They will look to be you, friend. They will look to strong arm their way in your life because they see so much greatness in you in the form of potential. They know it's just a matter of time. If you keep trending in this direction, that there is a matter of time that there will be some form of success that you will experience. And because of that, they want to partake of it as well. But the way that they do it is in a way that is very selfish, underhanded, criminal in a sense, and abrasive. It'll turn you off from ever wanting to have anything to do with them. There are people in this life, friend, that will see things in you that will act like they're not paying you any attention, and then will concoct plans to sabotage their way into a role in your life just so that they can partake of whatever it is that may befall you in your future. They have that much faith in you. They are that impressed with you that they will concoct an entire scheme, plan, and then act upon it. And not only act upon it, they will sell this on to someone else and partner with other people to run this play, to strong arm you into dealing with them just because they know that you have a destiny that's very powerful. I'm going to use scripture and I'm going to use different scenarios in the Bible to speak to this because we got to bring it to the light. Friend, there are whole systems out here. There are people that are being attacked by these ways, by these systems. Innocent, good people. God-fearing people, y'all. People that in no way deserve to be treated in such a manner are being attacked by these types of people. We see this in ancient times often. This is not anything new. This is the way of the fallen ones. All those people that you see that do such things in the world today, they learned it from what the fallen ones did. I'm here to tell you, we don't want to give the fallen ones credit, but a lot of the things that we think are so great and that we do and we are flamboyant with it, we get from what the fallen ones did. Whether it's the way that we interact with one another, whether the way that men interact with certain women, arm candy, having trophy women around, having 3, 4, 5, 6 women at one time, having multiple women at once. All of these things happened because of the fallen ones. Them lusting after the women, them coming here and creating systems where there were kings in the system, and they had multiple harems of women, just women galore. The fallen ones made it a power symbol to have multiple women. God created Adam to have Eve. That was his symbiotic relationship to Eve. She was not a power symbol to him per se. They balanced one another out. But when the fallen ones came, and when Eve was approached by one of them in the garden, it changed this entire dynamic. And it went from just a holistic relationship between two people to a very highly manipulative situation between two people that could no longer trust one another because they're introduced to certain aspects of themselves that they could use against one another. And instead of her being enthralled and magnetized to Adam, now she is enthralled and magnetized to this entity because he knows more than Adam. He can give her something that Adam cannot give her. Adam was still on a journey of learning himself. She was his helpmeet in this. Yet this fallen one comes and says, you don't need to teach Adam anything, or you don't need to work with Adam for you both to grow in a symbiotic nature and ascend naturally. You don't need this. Follow me, and I will show you what you need to know. And then you give Adam what I teach you. The fallen one imposed himself in their lives as if he was God. The whole game was to remove God out of the scenario and put himself in. This is the first instance that we see of someone concocting a plan against another person because they felt like they could. And not only that, they felt as if that other person had something of great benefit that they needed and were enthralled and mesmerized by and saw as great potential for their own gain. Something that they could not get by themselves. And in order to get it, they needed her. So instead of partnering with her, instead of coming to her humbly and saying, I'd like to do this with you. This is who I am. I know you know who I am. Regardless to what's going on, I still want to partner with you. What do you think? Instead of him doing that, he sabotages his way in through lies and trickery and deceit because he knew she would never go for it. And even today, we see the same situation. I'm here to tell you that there are many people that will concoct intricate plans to sabotage you into dealing with them. They will try to treat you any kind of way they can. They have no regard for you. It's all about them. And they will expect you to be foolish enough to bend to them as if they're your God. As if you are not wise enough to know. What do you do when you come across an Eve or an Adam that says no? What do you do? What do you do when Eve and Adam say no? What do you do when Eve and Adam say, no, I'm enough right the way I am. I'm okay with that. I see what you got over there and I see you peddling it. And I think that's great. That's great for you. But I'm happy with what I'm doing over here. And No, thank you. We see this time and time again. We've seen it with Satan and Eve, but Eve fell for the bait. Eve fell for it. We see this with Hezekiah and the Assyrians. Hezekiah has inherited his father's debt. Let's just say that. King Ahaz was Hezekiah's father. And he was already being extorted by the Assyrians. He didn't see himself worthy of God's full protection. And anytime you find yourself unworthy, you see any kind of unworthiness, here comes these hyenas. They can smell unworthiness a mile away. And they knew that Israel were out of alignment with the will of God. They understood God's system very, very well. See, one thing about this opponent is that this opponent takes time to study his opponent. This opponent knows every detail about God's system because he was one of the high-ranking angels in God's system. So when the Assyrians come to Hezekiah, King Ahaz, and began to extort King Ahaz, that's what they do. They're extorting Israel. The king is not strong enough to lead them, and he is boggled down with the fear of God's judgment because of his actions. He's not standing in the fullness of God as a nation nor as an individual. And because of this, when an enemy comes upon them, instead of leaning on the power of God to direct their paths, they don't feel worthy, so they second guess. And they barter. They say, okay, I really don't want any problems with you, friend. What can I do to appease you and make you go away? It's the worst thing you can do. We've seen this time and time again throughout history. It is the worst thing you can do. Whether it's Cortez coming upon the Mayans or the Indians dealing with the Pilgrims. It's the worst thing you could ever do. King Ahaz does this. And the Assyrians come and they take all of God's stuff because they command King Ahaz to do it. And King Ahaz does it. King Ahaz transitions and he leaves the kingdom to his son Hezekiah. Hezekiah's already had the insider knowledge as to what King Ahaz was dealing with these Assyrians. He has heard all of the council's communication as it relates to this scenario. So he has a full story of what's going on, the whole history of it. And now he takes the kingdom. And here comes these Assyrians again. These hyenas, jackals. And Hezekiah bends to the Assyrians like his father initially bends to him. And then finally he says, enough is enough. We will never get from up under this. Friends, if you think the jackals and the hyenas that come to strong arm their way into your stuff are going to leave you alone because you bend to them, you're crazy. If you think that the jackals and the hyenas are going to say, okay, I've extorted you long enough. I've just come upon you because you're afraid of me. There's no other reason why you're giving me your power outside of you feeling as if you are not capable of contending with me. It's a self-love thing going on. It's a will thing. It's a God thing. You don't feel as if you're in alignment with God enough to get the protection of God that's promised to you. Your fault. You don't love yourself enough to say, I'm better than this. I don't deserve to be dealing with this. Why am I allowing this person to come upon me and jack me for my stuff, whatever it is? I don't even know these people. And then for you to sell yourself on the philosophy of justifying it. Your fault. All your fault. It's for you to build your kingdom up mighty, mighty. So that regardless to how it goes, if my kingdom is going to be overtaken, you will not say I handed it to you. I'm going to go down in history as a strong tower that put up a fight. You're going to have to take something to get something, friend. That's how this thing is going to have to go. King Hezekiah gets to that. King Hezekiah must have gotten to a place in his spirit where he says, I'm better than this. I remember the stories that all of the ancient ones promised us of our God. And I don't care what it looks like in this state of affairs that we are in right now. We're down, yet we down pretty bad. Looking at us, we're down, but we're still a nation. And if we're still a nation and we're still a kingdom and all of these people have come upon us to siphon all of our God stuff, that means that there's still something left here that is of value. There's still something valuable that I can bank on in this. And that's what I'm going to do. When the Assyrians come upon Hezekiah, this is not unique to Hezekiah or the Assyrians. The Assyrians did this all the time. This is who they were. They were a conquering nation. They were a nation that led by example. They were very wicked. They did a lot of harsh, wicked things to people so that rumors would go out and people would speak about it in different communities, and they would incite fear amongst the nations by way of their activity. They made a huge name for themselves by way of the conquerings that they had. They were a war community. They were not a community of people that wanted to go and broaden their borders and create industrialized systems. They were not that. They were the bullies of the old world. They gained power by way of fear. This is why Jonah was so afraid to go to Nineveh. Nineveh was the capital of the Assyrian Empire. And some people say Jonah wasn't afraid. Jonah was afraid. Jonah's one person going into this capital city of wickedness and telling these people to their face that they're going to be punished, giving them an ultimatum. You had to have some big kahunas. Hezekiah is dealing with these types of people. They extort everybody. So when Hezekiah now they keep coming to Hezekiah, trying to intimidate Hezekiah. They never will leave him alone. Whatever he gives them is not enough. He comes to the point where he says, I can't give them no more. I'm not ever going to come from up under this if I keep going about this in this way. I've got to figure something else out, because this way, all they're going to do is continue to try to find another avenue to approach me. I've got to involve my God in this. I will not be able to do this on my own. I will not. Friend, this is a word for y'all today. Yet I've got to involve God in a way that is justifiable. So Hezekiah goes to his priest, which is Isaiah, and they commune with God, and God hears the word of Hezekiah. And initially, God don't really move the way he does at the end of this. He lets it build. And before you know it, Ethiopia steps in on Hezekiah's behalf, on Israel's behalf. There will be somebody that will step in on your behalf, friend, with whatever you're dealing with. I'm here to tell you. somebody is going to step in. They're going to see the truth of your situation. And they're going to say, this is nothing far-fetched. These people have been doing this all along. The only difference with Hezekiah is that they haven't prevailed. This is a conquering community, a war community. And whenever you're dealing with a war community that leads with war, they don't care nothing about fairness. They don't care anything about righteousness. They care about winning. That's it. And they will continue to keep on until they see success. So what does Ethiopia do? Ethiopia jumps in. A big name, a big strong name is in the fight now. The name is not in the fight to support Israel. Ethiopia is indifferent. But Ethiopia puts its chess piece on the table and says, Medea, here I am. And when they put their chess piece on the table and establish their presence in the Assyrians' environment, it takes somewhat the emphasis off of Israel being an easy target. You see, the Assyrians would know the history between Ethiopia and Israel. God already said how much he loves Israel. God has put his name on Israel. He takes Israel super personal. Yet the second love of God is none other than Ethiopia. So the Assyrians began to see. This is the dynamic. It's not, scripture will convey that it has to do with other distinguishing factors that have to do with the environment and different political stuff going on. But on a spiritual level, we're looking at the Assyrians seeing the God of Israel paramount. They're seeing movement of the God of Israel as it relates to Ethiopia jumping into this particular scenario between Assyria and Israel. That's what they're seeing on a spiritual level. You see, the commanders Sennacherib and Rabshakeh and Hezekiah and Isaiah, these are the footmen. But when Ethiopia enters into the system, they're the footmen too. It's as if God is showing the God of the Assyrians. This is a God to God thing. This is not God to man. This is God to God. I got both my dogs in this fight, friend. What you want to do? What's up? 1990s version. What's cracking? This move is a move that shows God to God. Assyrian God, God of Israel. And this movement would provoke the Assyrians to become even more adamant in antagonizing Israel. Rabshakeh would come and send all of these letters and all of these words of antagonism and defiance and blasphemy, saying, don't let anybody fool you. Your God is not going to be able to do it. But the way he would do it would be in the absence of Sennacherib, his king. You see, Sennacherib would go and wage war and be dealing with the war ground level stuff. And he would leave Rabshakeh to the kingdom stuff. And so Rabshakeh, an inexperienced commander. He's not a king, he's a commander, a general. Sees what's going on with this whole Ethiopian aspect, and he becomes afraid. And without wise counsel, he makes a very, very detrimental decision in the name of the entire Assyrian nation. This is the wisdom of God. And he blasphemes the God of Israel. He doesn't have wise counsel from Sennacherib, who would get wise counsel from his God as to how to deal with it. So he goes off of his mortal intellect, his limited perspective. And he does a terrible thing and blasphemes the God of Israel and condemns the God of Israel and says that basically God is not going to be able to save Israel. God is not going to be able to do this. God isn't that. The God of Israel isn't this. That is what Hezekiah needed. And Hezekiah would take these letters and lay them all out upon the altar of God and said, Father, I need you to look at this. I want you to smell this thing to distinguish the hand that wrote it. I ask that you check the vibration of this paper to sense the spirit in which they had when they came upon this paper with the pen to write this. And I need you to come through and hold these people accountable. And that is my word to you. God will show up and show out in a way that was undeniable. And God will show up and show out in a way that is undeniable to you and to all of the onlookers. God would see all of these nations that would look to sabotage, that would look to strong arm their way into the children of God's kingdom, God's stuff. They wouldn't look to partner. The Assyrians had built up their kingdom so mighty through will. They made a name for themselves through will. They accumulated material wealth through will, and this material wealth allowed them to feel confident in themselves. It made them feel good about themselves as a nation, and it made other people that were outside of this nation look at them and fear them because they didn't want to be overtaken by them. They heard the rumors of what they were doing and they didn't want any parts of it. And it will be this fear that they will come upon the house of Israel with, just off of a name. There's power in naming a thing. They would look to capitalize off of a name built out of fear. And they would use a name built out of fear to siphon all of God's stuff from God's people that felt disempowered because they felt as if they were not worthy to stand in all the promises of God. They couldn't get their stuff together. They were punished. They had been embarrassed and humiliated. They're gone into bondage. And they're just trying to hold space. Just trying to hold space until they can all get it together. Until one of them comes with a word or prophecy or something that they can jump on and get back in alignment with God. They're waiting for a magical moment to happen where the skies and the heavens open up and God sends them a gift and says, okay, your punishment is over. You're back in alignment with me. They're looking for a miracle. And in that time, the hyenas and the jackals are lurking and looking. And this is a word for many of you. The hyenas and the jackals are going to constantly lurk and look. You don't ever for a second think that you aligning to anything that those that come to sabotage you would like to do. Don't ever for a second think that those that sabotage you, making an agreement with them or even allowing them success in whatever it is that they want to do through you is going to lead to some sort of positivity for you. It will not. It cannot. The only success that you will have is in your alignment to God and you being steadfast in that and standing on it. You will not knock me off of my circle. That's it and that's all. And I'm going to continue doing that. You're going to have to find me while I'm doing that. You're going to have to come see me because I'm not checking for you. Hezekiah never went and checked for the Assyrians. They come and they checking for Hezekiah. And a whole pageantry and all of this regalia, all these horses and big old flags, and they got their best uniforms on. These people will come before you in their best dressed Sunday suits. I'm here to tell you, little old you. You got to get to the point where you are adamant. What do you stand for in your life? There's nothing criminal about it. There's nothing disintegrous about it. It's all righteousness and purity and goodness. When the Assyrians come, friend, they come like sabotagers. They come to strong arm you out of your stuff because they themselves don't feel secure enough to come any other way. The Assyrians are the people that build themselves up on falsehoods, material projections. These falsehoods make them feel worthy. Yet with God's kingdom, God doesn't care about any of that. They're powerless in God as it relates to God and God's kingdom. Because God's kingdom is built off of integrity. It's built off of character. It's built off of love and devotion and dedication. And the cadence in which all of these things intermingle with one another. This is God's stuff. It's your job to do you so well that they could never be you. It is. It's your job to stay in alignment with God and to receive the constant direction from the Holy Spirit and the anointing of God so that even if they look to do what you do, they can never do you. They will be a distinct and undeniable bad replica. That's all I can think to say. A distinct and undeniable knockoff. They won't have that sauce. The Assyrians coming upon Hezekiah, looking to siphon all of Israel's stuff, was because they could not replicate Israel's stuff. You don't think they tried? You ever go and look at all the monumental stuff in the Assyrian Empire? Monumental. Even till today, monumental. But they could not replicate Israel's stuff. Could not. So they had to come and look to strong arm them out of it. Because without them strong arming, they knew that they could never come with sincerity and get it. Friend, there are people that will try to come into your thing, hyenas and jackals, that will look to strong arm you into allowing them into your thing because they could never convince you any other way. And they know it. It's as if God would establish it this way, y'all. It's as if God would allow certain people to go in particular directions just so that other people can be able to distinguish between personality types. You have some people that have built themselves up on projections, the accumulation of things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's where your confidence is, that's a slippery slope. If your confidence is only in the fact that you have material possessions, whether you own them or you're projecting an image as you own them, and they're really not even yours, but you're projecting an image that they're yours, you've created a concept that goes before you as if this is who you are. And it's all temperamental. It's all based off of smoke and mirrors, dust. There's nothing real tangible in it. Because without it, who are you? Without that, will they still get the same output? Will they still be able to dial in to you and what you're speaking and get the same response that you had in how you carried yourself or how you elaborated on your gift as when you had all of that stuff? Or is it significantly different if you were not to have it? Would your song change if you didn't have it? If you weren't cast in that particular light, would the truth of you be able to follow you in whatever light you can find? Whether it's minute amounts of light and you're sitting in darkness, will your truth follow you there and serve you? What we find is that those that lead with this find themselves in situations where they get puffed up. They feel as if they're somebody because of these things, like the Assyrians were. They get puffed up off of the reputation. They get puffed up off of the material acquisitions that they get, regardless of how they get them. So much so that they feel empowered to come upon a nation like Israel, to do such things. It is their reputation and their experiences that made them feel empowered to come upon Israel and do such things. Yet all it will take is one swooping defeat. One. To completely disempower these people. This is what God speaks to when he talks to vanity. It don't take much to undermine vain kingdoms. They would not see themselves worthy. Whether they regarded this unworthiness as a vain way of them looking at it, saying to themselves, we don't need to come and ask these people anything. We're the Assyrians. We don't need to ask them anything. We'll just go over there and take it. We'll just bombard them with our presence and all of our antics and all of our sorceries and wizardries and all the nonsense that we've cultivated along the way that has helped us be successful. We'll get it through that. That's what Satan did through Azazel to Eve. We'll back that up with fear campaigns, and we're going to unalive them, and we're going to come and do all this, and we're going to come and do all that. Because we are the Assyrians, we don't need to ask them anything. They justify it through lies. Because even though they're the Assyrians and they're so great, they're focused on this community of people that they can never be like. They can't find another nation to go and siphon from like Israel. That's why Israel was such a big deal. It wasn't the people, it was the God. And the only reason that they were encroaching was because they knew that the people were out of alignment with their God. So like hyenas and like jackals, they saw weakness. They saw a break in the link. And they said, okay, we can get in now. The only reason people come upon you to try to create avenues into your thing is because they see the greatness in it. They can't manufacture it on their own. If they could, they would. And they will create all kinds of scenarios as to why they do this and why you're not worthy of them approaching you in another way. But in reality, it all boils down to the fact that they don't feel as if they're worthy of coming to you in a righteous way. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel as if it will garner them the success that they want. Why? Because they don't feel worthy. They don't feel worthy, friend. They don't see themselves as worthy partners. Or they have believed the lie that the accumulations have garnered them. They don't believe the lie that all the other lies have garnered them. The fake, bravo. They don't believe the lies that all the past thefts that they've accumulated have allowed them to stand within and look strong amongst people. All of their regalia and imagery that they're able to put on and chariots that they're able to drive and to wheel them around, they got through stealing other people's stuff. And now they can wear it and they can wear things that they were able to steal from other people. With what they stole, they're able to acquire all these things. And now they feel great. They feel like they're somebody. All off of theft and lies and wickedness. Yet they don't realize that that's what it is. Theft, lies, and wickedness. A whole kingdom built off of it. So then when they go and they try to scout you, to steal from you, because it's become rhythmic. It's what they've done all along. And because they feel like they can. But the root of it is they didn't see any other way. Why? Because the greater root of it is they do not feel worthy. A deep sense of inadequacy. But they see you worthy. They know you're worthy. And the only reason that they come upon you is because they see a level of greatness in you. If they didn't see greatness in you, friend, they would never pay you any attention. And it is that greatness that they look to siphon. And I encourage you to tell them, hell no. You don't get to siphon that from me. And that you lean like Hezekiah did. In all of your mess, in all of your acknowledgement of your mess, and in all of the acknowledgement that you have of your greatness and your righteousness. You lean on God for direction. Remind God of all of his vast and powerful promises that he has spoken over this house. And you do the best you can in aligning as deeply and as closely and as intimately as you can to God, so that you leave none of those promises up for grabs nor on the table. That you be a partaker of all of God's promises, friend. Because God believed in you enough to allow the Assyrians to come. God, Hezekiah said to himself, had to. God believed in me enough to allow me to be king at this junction in history and to face off with these Assyrians. And on my watch, you will not defeat me. You will not defeat this house on my watch, friend. No way. I will be the king to tell you, buck off. Buck off. You better hop back on that horse and buck off. Because me and my house, we're depending on this God of Israel to see us through. That's not debatable. It ain't no back and forth. It is what it is. And in him doing that, he would allow God to say, give me a reason. Give me a reason. God had been wanting to lay these people down for the longest. God had been wanting to lay them down for the longest. He just didn't have the right play. A lot of times, friends, God is looking to find the right play. It's no fun for God just to swoop in and reset this thing and let it start all over again. God needs it to get to the right play. All of the chaos we think we're experiencing and all hell breaking loose is nothing but what God expects it to be. Ta-da! Dun, 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 dun. God wants to see you dance at that heightened expression. What do you do at that heightened expression? Because it is at these heightened expressions that we are more prone to relinquish true power. We are more prone to aligning to the trueness of who we are. It is in this squeeze, in this chaotic space that we get the fullness of who we are, and God gets to view it. If God created man and woman to see if they love truth or if they hate truth, what better way of finding this thing out than to get you to a heightened moment of chaos? This is where Hezekiah was. Absolutely. Even the fallen ones, y'all. When Satan through Azazel turned Eve in the garden, the whole heavenly realm, everybody was looking and saying, okay, what is going to happen here? I want to see what's going on. There were rumors, I'm sure. God in the Bible spoke to Hezekiah that he was going to create a rumor amongst the Assyrians. This is one of the ways that God overturned them, through a rumor. He said, I'm going to send a rumor like a blast. So God is not above rumors. When Satan through Azazel turned Eve, the punishment, everybody was waiting on what the punishment is. And even though he fell in hierarchy and Eve was cursed and Adam was cursed and, Eve's fruit was cursed and Adam's fruit was cursed, and the serpent went on his belly. Everybody was like, oh, that's all? That's it? He went on his belly? We weren't really punished. And in him displaying that leg of punishment in that way, it worked exactly the way God wanted it to. All of those others that were prone to such behaviors showed themselves. Those 200 came after that. I want to say 2 chapters after in the book of Genesis. All 200 congregate on Mount Hermon, and they say, we got to make a pact because I'm not going to be the only one to suffer the consequences of this huge sin. That's what they said. And they all made a pact on Mount Hermon. This is the way God will lead you. You thinking you're doing something, you're not doing nothing but being led to your own demise. You're doing yourself in, trying to harm people, trying to do wickedness. Somebody can tell you all day long, don't do that. There's a bigger picture here. You're missing a key component to this. Don't do that. But you think them people lying to you. They will come and convene on Mount Hermon and make this pact, and then they would for a season bask in this. They would be able to say, we did this. Oh, how great these comforts are. How lovely these women are. We love this. We love these women. Our lusts are being met. And then God shut the portal. E.T. no longer can phone home. God turned them so that they don't love women. They don't have the ability to even align to women anymore. And all of their knowledge is useless because they don't have the secret sauce. They don't have the loving Holy Spirit of God. Same way with these Assyrians. Same way with you and me. It is for us to know our standing in this system. And it is for us to be partakers of God's promises. It's for us to see ourselves worthy. And that's all we got. And in that way, you can truly say and embody Psalm 118. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and foes, came upon me, they stumbled and they fell. Though a host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. The war should rise up against me. In this will I remain confident. That is your anchor. So when the Assyrians come, and they will, they must come if you are standing in the authority of God. When they come, you stand firm and hold on to your anchor point. Regardless to what may be going on around you, do not let go of your anchor point. It is your grounding. It is your footing. It is the strength from which all goodness comes from. It is your help. It's all you've got. And in you standing in this, you face the Assyrians. You don't bow to them. You face them head on. You say, you are the Assyrians. I am the child of God. What are we doing here? What do you want? There's no strong arm here. You're not going to strong arm nothing here. No. There's only testimonies and lessons. Period. There's only those that will be able to testify and those that will walk away with a learning experience. That's all there is here. You choose. It's your job to do you so well that there could never be another replica of you. There could never be. You've got to do you so well that you can't be replicated. And any form of replica that comes in your image is an automatic knockoff, mockery. It only heightens your value. When one sees the replica, they say, oh, look at that. They're trying to be like such and such. The differences are so distinct that it's comical. It adds value to you and comedic relevance to them. It's your job so that when the Assyrians come to strong arm you out of your stuff, that you stand firm in the promises of God and you allow God to lead you, getting the most out of the experience so that your stock is even heightened the more. God gets the glory the more through you, not for you to buckle to them and hide and go and beg them, because they will not sustain you. It's not for you to barter off all of God's stuff and say, okay, I'll work for you for free, just if you leave me alone. Even though I didn't invite you over here, even though I don't know you, but since you've taken it upon yourself to come and overtake me, I will give you a portion of this because I don't feel good about myself. Because I don't feel as if God will back me. I don't feel worthy of all of God's love and protection. What kind of nonsense is that? I can't even say this properly. It feels terrible. I feel sorry for anyone going through such. That's a you problem. And you must fix the you problem. So that when the Assyrians come, and they will, friend, they got to come. You could hold them at bay. Hey, hold on. Grab them by the collar. Wait a minute. What is this? You don't get to come over here with this. You allow God to be in a position where he's saying, give me a reason. Give me a reason. You want to come over here and overtake my child, my servant, my prophet, my proven prophet? Friend, do you think God would have allowed Jezebel and Ahab to overtake Elijah? Look at what Elijah went through. Elijah was legitimately afraid. He went ahead. He was tired. He was overwhelmed. And God sent an angel to cook for him. Without the angel, Elijah wouldn't have made it. He just didn't have the energy to get up and even feed himself. This is an example of what God will do, friend. These are not hopes, y'all. I'm trying to tell you some things. I live by this. You got whole people that will ruin themselves playing with you. I'm here to tell you, God is my witness. It's sad. They will ruin themselves for playing with you. And the only way you're going to be able to hold them accountable, and the only way you will be able to get through it, is your alignment to God. You don't have a choice. Hezekiah didn't have a choice. Gideon didn't have a choice. Remember Gideon? I'm going to end it with this. The children were down bad. Bad, y'all. They living in caves on the sides of mountains. Every year, the Midianites would come up with all their whole families. Not just the Midianites, the Amalekites, and the children of the east. They all would come up. It was fun for them. Oh, we can't wait to go back up there to the Hebrews. The Hebrews at this time, the Israelites were like children in a zoo. They were like animals in a zoo. We can't wait to go back up to the zoo the next year. See all the animals. Yet the only difference was that Israel was always provided for by God. So they had farmland and they were making way. But the children of the east and the Midianites and the Amalekites would come up with all of their stuff and pitch tent and just lay out and siphon all of the goodness from Israel. Just take it. If they didn't see the prosperity of these people, there must have been a level of prosperity that these people garnered that other people didn't. Because if it wasn't, they would have went somewhere else and laid up and done this. It was a level of abundance that is provided for by God to these people. Wherever they go, they're abundant. Abundant fruit. Abundant gifts. And the jackals and the hyenas in the form of the Midianites, Amalekites, and the children of the east came up and camped up to steal their stuff in front of them and their families, eat their food in their face, and expect them not to say nothing. And Gideon is in the wine press threshing wheat, hiding. You ever had to hide? Hiding that he's just getting enough to get by. Hiding that he's finding some form of self-empowerment. Hiding that he's happy. Because the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east, because the Midianites, the Amalekites, and the children of the east can't stand to see him happy. Whatever that thing is that he finds happiness in, the children of Israel, that they find happiness in, they come and try to destroy it. Whatever it is. It don't have to be nothing. It could be anything. They'll try to destroy it. And Gideon is in the wine press and he's threshing wheat and he's saying, angel comes to him and speaks to him. He says, how you doing, you mighty man of valor? Gideon says, I'm not no mighty man of valor. We down bad, friend. I don't know what you're talking about. There is no mighty man of valor here. I know all that stuff they talked about. I know all that stuff that they talked about. in ancient times about how great we were and all this kind of stuff, but I can't see it. I don't know where that is. I don't know who those people are, because that is not who we are right now, especially not me. I'm not feeling like that right now. And the angel of God says to Gideon, try it once again, friend. Try it again. And see how it turns out. And he tries it again, and it works out for him. And that's my word for you today. A lot of times, y'all, it be systems inside of systems inside of systems that we wrestle with. But God is faithful and God is true. Many of you that are thinking that you are doing a disservice to somebody because of your petty differences or whatever you got going on, friend, them people watching you. You don't know what you're dealing with. And the person that you think you are harming or wishing to harm or sabotaging or wishing to sabotage could just be trying to help you, because they see a bigger picture that you don't see. Somebody could really use that. I'm here to tell you. You'll thank me later. God is faithful and God is true. These are all facts. Whether you see it or not, the crown in which we were created, the major jewel in this crown, is that you and me and everybody on this planet are being led, whether we realize it or not. That's the beauty of this dynamic in which we're in. We don't realize it. It's set up that way. Omega class, sentient being. Systems inside of systems inside of systems. Ezekiel said a wheel inside of a wheel inside of a wheel. This is my word for y'all today. Friend, don't let the Assyrians come upon you and take anything. Period. God humbled the Assyrians. The Midianites are no longer on the planet. Have you seen a Midianite? Anybody you've ever met said they were a Midianite? God says, sit on my right hand. Sit over here to the right hand of me while I make your enemies your footstool. Sit over here on the right side of me, on my right hand, while I make your enemies your footstool. And the good part about it is that you get to choose if you wish to be an enemy of God or not. Life is about choices. Who you with? You love more than you'll ever know. I'll never stop telling you. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.